Are we off?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. Okay, this is a response to Todd's question that we talk a little bit about the academic differences between the higher education system in Scotland and in the States. Matt Kelleher is a student studying at the University of Edinburgh at the moment from St. Thomas, and he's kindly agreed to talk about these questions. So I'll just quickly run through them and we'll see how it goes. So the first question is, what is the difference between how students interact with faculty in Scotland and the US? Is the relationship more formal in Scotland, or is it more casual? Are faculty open to meetings, out-of-office discussions, and things like that?
As far as faculty interactions, I haven't really noticed too much of a difference. I mean, this is a much bigger university than my home university, but every time I've had to have a discussion with one of my professors here, they've been very, very open, and it seems very casual. I don't know if it's supposed to be formal. I'm typically a more casual person, so I don't really do the whole formal thing. But yeah, no, I mean, I haven't really noticed too many differences in that area. Every time I've had to meet with the professor, it's just been very straightforward, and they've always tried their best to help me out. And so they seem very welcoming.
Have you ever been to their office hours at all, or do you ask questions after the lecture?
Yeah, I've done a few questions after the lecture. I've done one trip to the office before one of my presentations in one of my history classes. So yeah, I mean, it seems like they're open. If you just send them an email, say, hey, I'd like to meet. It's pretty simple to do.
Never ask a question just before the lecture.
Yeah.
That's always a bad time to
yeah, that's when they're getting focused.
So, okay, good. Your classes are in the humanities, aren't they?
Yeah, yep.
As well. So, because sometimes differences in the sciences.
Right. Yeah, no, all of my classes are history classes. So
and they're third, fourth year?
Two of them are third and fourth year, and one of them is a second year.
A second year. So the second year class will have tutorials.
Yep.
Where you'll work with is it graduate assistant or?
Yeah, it's a graduate. He's going after his PhD. But he's kind of an elderly gentleman. Not like elderly, but he's older. But no, he's very good. I really like that tutorial setting actually, because you don't need to have a small setting for a lecture. I mean, it's perfectly alright to have a big group for a lecture hall. But then when you come down to a tutorial and there's only like 7 students, like my tutorial, and then the person, it's much more of like a discussion where someone throws out an idea and the dialogue kind of builds on top of that, as opposed to just being talked to. So I like the tutorial setting a lot. It's very interesting.
And it's much smaller than
yeah, much more focused.
So you can really get discussions going. Do students utilize work groups, or do most students learn independently? Do the faculty encourage group work study, or is this frowned upon?
Oh, that's a tough question to ask me. I'm much more of an independent studier. I don't do work groups well, and when I'm forced to work in groups, I kind of get annoyed. So yeah, for me, I like studying on my own. I don't like studying with other people. If I'm in the library, I try to find a corner where I don't see anyone else. So I'm much more of an independent studier. But I know that when I had to do this presentation last week for my History of India course, she encouraged us to get together and discuss each other's presentations. And we did do a little email connection there where we just kind of talked, this is what I'm going to talk about and how it ties into your thing and how it all works together. So I mean, it's encouraged to work with other people, I think.
I suppose the tutorial. I mean, the tutorial structure is the group.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's literally only 7 students in our tutorial, so that's a group setting. I mean, and that's fine. I mean, that works out really well.
And that works well.
Yeah.
Again, I am aware that if you're taking classes in management or economics, then there will be
much more
group presentations that will actually be structured into the.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the same. That's the same way at home too. Those classes are typically more group oriented.
But certainly in the broader humanities, you're free really to pursue your own research.
That's really what I enjoy.
And then if you do want to get together with other students for peer support, it's not necessarily going to be structured for you outside the tutorial.
But there's options.
But there's options to do that. What do you see as the biggest differences challenges between the system in your country, i.e. Scotland, and the US system?
The biggest differences or challenges? Is that the question? I think the biggest difference from St. Thomas to here, and I'm a history philosophy major, and the biggest difference that I've noticed is the appreciation of philosophy is much higher over here. And I think you can agree with that a little.
But I'm biased.
But no, I mean, back home, if every time I've ever expressed to someone, oh, I'm a history and a philosophy major, the question is, well, what are you going to do with that? And over here, it's like, oh, that's really interesting. So what's your focus? What are you studying on? And what do you, which camp are you in, kind of thing. And that's vastly
And you
different.
like that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I love it. So I think that has much more to do with cultural understanding than it does educational systems. So maybe that's not the best example.
Can I focus in on some?
Yeah.
That's a kind of a second question I missed here. Specifically, the credit grading system, exams, homework structure, the difference in the degree track in your country, i.e. Scotland, and the degree track in the United
As
States.
far as the homework and the assessments go, I like this setup as in Scotland significantly better than back home. In the States, it's typically kind of daily readings, daily quizzes to make sure that you did the reading, and it's a lot more busy work. Whereas here, it's like, do your readings, come prepared to class. If you don't come prepared to class, you're going to get marked down. And the assessments are much more spread out and much more impactful on your grades, so you want to do well on your assessments here. Whereas there, you can kind of slack off for the first half of the semester, and then turn it up, get a little more focused towards the second half, and turn your grade around if you want to. But here, it's like you really need to stay on top of your game all semester long because it goes very quickly. So yeah, I mean, over here,
So
I think
you prefer having fewer assessments with more
more focus.
weighting.
Yeah, because it allows you to try to gain an understanding tailored to those assessments, as opposed to just kind of skating by and waiting to the final or the last paper to kind of turn it around. I mean, maybe that's a fault of my own because that's how I've approached classes back home, and I'm trying to do it differently here. But that's definitely, I think I'm much more encouraged by this system to do well than I am.
I think
back home.
one advantage, I think, especially in the humanities, the sciences are a bit different, is it does let you, having fewer assessment points lets you focus in significant depth within one area of that course. So you won't necessarily get the breadth of knowledge perhaps across the area, but you'll get so much more depth of learning and understanding within an area that's covered within.
Yeah, I mean, I think those questions that are focused on the assessments are very to the point, and like you said, you want to have a very deep understanding of those points.
Yeah.
But then the focus of the seminars and the tutorials is kind of where you get the breadth of knowledge.
That's where you get the breadth of knowledge.
So you get a nice combination of both kind of a broad sweeping of the issue, but then you're assessed on your ability to pick out a certain issue and determine facts and be
Get depth, real depth of thinking and analysis on those specific topics.
Yeah.
I suppose for students who are more comfortable with lots of little tests and a broad spread of assessment, it can be a bit disconcerting, I suppose, to have this. So it's a really important message to those students.
I think for some students who enjoy that kind of daily assessment setup, they're going to come here and be kind of taken aback by it. But if they just are open to that sort of idea, that you're not graded on how well you do each day, you're graded on how well you are able to perform each day, and then turn it around and present that depth of understanding on an assessment. And I mean, for me, that works much better. So I'm coming into a system that's more tailored to a learner like me, whereas some people who are more comfortable in that other system coming here maybe a little shock value, but
they need to be prepared for that. In terms of.
But I mean, I don't think it's necessarily anything that's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a change.
It's just different. disciplines.
And for me, the change was for the better.
I mean, the other strength, at least from my perspective, is when you do go on beyond to graduate school,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Absolutely.
you go into the real world. At some point, you do have to take control of your life and your
Yeah,
learning.
yeah.
So to
Yeah.
have to be over supported through the process,
It's almost detrimental.
it can actually be problematic.
Yeah.
But then the students have to be ready and expect
Mhm.
that, and they have to have that level of self-awareness.
Yeah, no, I definitely think this
Just
system
think
sets you up better for graduate school than the one back home.
Yeah.
Because there's too many crutches
Yeah, I think
in,
so.
in the previous system.
In terms of the degree structure, the difference in the degree track, so at St. Thomas, you have a liberal arts institution,
Mhm.
so you can take, how many classes are you taking by the time you finish your degree? Which disciplines?
Well, they make you take quite a few core classes. I do it in terms of credits, which isn't going to sound
Just
normal.
in terms of disciplines, if I just count through the disciplines you've taken classes in.
Oh, science, mathematics, history, philosophy, theology. Yeah.
Psychology, isn't it?
Well, they make you take. There's some social sciences. I took a sociology class.
Sociology has-
So I mean, if I was going to like down to individual classes, wow, that would probably get pretty broad. Yeah, I mean,
10 disciplines?
probably, yeah.
10, 12.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, their core requirements are really vast.
Yeah. So within the Scottish system, a student in their first year may take a class outside their major.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then by their second year, their third year, and their fourth year,
They're only taking classes.
all the classes
Yeah.
that the student take are within their major that
Yeah.
they're reading for. So there's a tremendous difference and emphasis on focus and building up strength.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't finish all my core requirements until my third year last semester.
Yeah.
And now I'm just getting into I'm taking only my major courses this semester and only major courses next semester, but then I graduate. So that's definitely a difference between the two systems.
And again, this is a point I make to students who come in as well. It's when you sit in a class, in a third year class at a Scottish institution, that professor is going to think that subject is your life. You've been pursuing that for 4 years.
I've noticed that.
That's where you're going.
I've noticed
and
that a
so,
little.
so you have to put that subject hat on. You are a major in that discipline when
Yeah.
you are in that class. So you are pursuing history, you are pursuing philosophy, and that's just the way you have to get on with the faculty. So
Yeah,
this is not an expectation. You're
Yeah.
coming to visit a discipline to perhaps broaden your knowledge. It's the focus is progressing your knowledge as far as you can go.
Yeah, I've
within that.
definitely noticed that. So I'm taking two higher level courses. One on the history of India, which I have a brief background with, and one on the history of Ireland, which I have a fairly substantial background with. And the difference between the two courses is exceptional. You can totally see like my ability to present information in the dialogue in the Irish class is much better than in the history class or the India class, because I just sit back and I kind of go, I don't know all this stuff, I need to read more. But in the Irish class, I'm like, oh yeah, I can be in the dialogue. So it's definitely something that you have to deal with, and I would like to hope my professors are going to be a little lenient on the fact that I don't know everything to know about India or Ireland, but I'm trying, so we'll see. But I mean,
And then you have
that's
to
all you can do.
and then you have to read up to that. But
Yeah,
I mean, I suppose
exactly.
an advantage of that with your peer group of students around you are completely committed to that discipline.
Yeah, no, and so when they do their presentations in the seminars, they're very good.
So and it creates this atmosphere within it. But
Yeah.
so you have to
You got to try.
you can't just pretend
Yeah,
to be
there's no skating through here.
to be a history. Okay, I think that's thank you,
Yeah,
Matt. I think that's
of course.
good.
Cool.
Thank you.